Your shoulder is one of the most incredible pieces of engineering in the body. The way your shoulder is designed allows you to climb, rotate all the way to the back, lift, and throw things. And it's one of the reasons why we were able to survive as a species, because we were able to kill from a distance as opposed to having to get up close. But that same design that's helped us for all these years is the same reason why it's constantly breaking. And that's why in this video, I'm going to be showing you how the shoulder works, why it's failing you, and what you can do about it. So how does our shoulders contribute to us throwing something like a rock or a spear, especially with some force? Well, it all has to do with the fascia line. These are like highways of connective tissue that run throughout the entire body and help transfer that energy from one side to the other. Now, the best way to think about this is simply to think of it like a giant muscle that reaches from one side of the body to the other that encompasses all those other smaller muscles that we are used to. So think about this for a second, right? When you're doing something like throwing a spear, throwing a baseball for our modern day and age, well, all that energy starts in the bottom of the feet and it transfers up through the legs, through the body, into that shoulder, where it's able to then whip that spear and ball out, just like a whip, and allowing us to get some of that velocity. This is exactly why we became so dominant, is because we were able to wind up with a spear and launch it at our dinner with some sick ass accuracy and power. But fascia lines, they don't work alone, right? They obviously need those muscles to generate the power to begin with. And when we're sticking with the shoulder, we have what I like to call the power muscles, the power muscles, where they're pretty much all the ones on the superficial surface and the ones that generate the most power. So with this, you're thinking muscles like the traps, upper traps, the pecs, the anterior deltoid, medial deltoid, all those, even the biceps, right? All these different muscles, these superficial ones, are the ones that help generate the most force when it comes to something like throwing a spear, for example. So when you have to generate a little more power throughout the day, then these are the muscles that are usually kicking in order to help you do whatever you're trying to do. But here's the thing, right? These power muscles, they can't do everything, because another layer deep to this is going to be what I like to call the posture muscles, or your deep muscles. Because in order to make these smaller, more precise movements, we have to have or use our posture muscles. These are muscles like your rotator cuff muscles that pretty much hold your ball and socket in place and are constantly contracting back and forth, playing this game of tug of war between that ball and the socket in order to keep it stable. Now, the reason why we need these posture muscles, especially right here in the shoulder, is because of the actual shoulder joint itself, the ball and socket. You see, even though it is a ball and socket, which allows all that mobility in the first place, and the reason why is because the socket itself is actually extremely shallow compared to the hips. So the best way to think about this is like a baseball on top of a tee that you use for hitting golf balls. You can obviously see there's a bigger size discrepancy when it comes to the tee and the ball, and the reason why it's easily dislocated compared to something like the hips. Now, speaking of the hips, when you take a look at the hips, this one forms more like a cup and ball versus a little T and a ball, right? Because this one actually has edges around it for that ball to kind of protect itself and keep stuck in it. This is why you get so many more injuries, so many more dislocations in the shoulder compared to the hip. It has to do with that joint and how we use that joint every day. All right, so now that you have an idea of the structure, let's actually talk about how it keeps us stable, right? How are the muscles keeping the ball and socket in that center position, or at least as stable as possible? And the answer has to do with a pulley system, basically. When you think about muscles, you have to think of them as a pulley system, because every time they contract, they are shortening and tightening. And what ends up happening is the endpoints are going to move closer together. So if you think about a tent, for example, a perfect tent with two strings on the side, when each one has tension. Now, if I was a pull on one side and tie it down or whatever I have to do, right, one side has more tension than the other. That right there is your pulley system. When you're creating tension and shortening it, That is technically a muscle contraction. And it's these small little pulley systems, these micro contractions, that's constantly happening in the shoulder in order to keep it stable. So, for example, if you reach your arm up forward and reach for something in front of you, your shoulder joint is going to pull towards the front of the socket, which means your rear muscles, the infraspinatus, for example, has to contract even more to keep the ball and socket in place. So it's this beautiful little dance of basically these little micro contractions and all the little posture muscles that's keeping your shoulder joints in place. But of course, what controls the muscles? It's the nervous system. It's the wiring of the body itself. And just like the wiring in your house, things happen really fast. You turn on the light, it sends that power up to the light, right? Activates whatever it has to do, and then it turns on, right? It activates the switch. It closes the loop or opens the loop, something like that. But in the brain, the way it sends signals to the muscles is pretty much the same thing, right? It's almost spontaneous. But if that wire has some kind of damages somewhere, there's a giant kink or maybe just some actual like tear into it, then that signal is going to be weaker. It may not go through. You might get some flickering. And again, the same thing happens to your muscles. You may not be able to fully contract it. You may not even be able to contract it all, or you may get too much signal to it, creating some kind of like pain or something like that. So now, just like any other piece of machinery, what happens when we overuse it? We end up getting some kind of wear and tears that may alter the function or may not of that device. Because here's the thing you got to realize, right? Every single day, you are using some of these muscles more than the other, especially if you're doing the same thing over and over. If you have to go type, drive, work on your phone or whatever you got to do these days. The point is, the more you're doing one type of activity, and only one type usually, the more those muscles are going to contract and that pulley system is going to activate. And this is where we get that wear and tear, and this is where we end up starting to get injuries. So let's think about this for a second, right? Whenever you are typing or working on your phone, you have to put your shoulders into internal rotation for the most part. And when that happens, the muscles like the subscapularis, that little posture muscle that controls the rotator cuffs, or sorry, that controls the shoulder joint, that one has to contract to create that internal rotation. This means years and years and years of you contracting that muscle, meaning that pulley system has to constantly go in and out, in and out, in and out. This ends up creating some kind of stickiness. This ends up creating some kind of wear and tear. And what basically ends up happening is you get things like knots or trigger points. You know how when you put your old school headphones in your pocket, and then you pull them out and they're all tangled up, right? It's because you're constantly shortening the string and then expanding it. Think of it kind of similar to this. Because you're constantly shortening and expanding certain muscles, these muscles are going to be more prone to getting these knots, which results in them being a tighter, shorter pulley system. Now, of course, remember that pulley system, we have multiple sides to it, and when one side gets short and tight in one direction, gets forced more in one direction, the other ones in the back, like the infraspinatus and even the supraspinatus, have to get stretched out and tight in order to compensate. And this is usually where you start to feel your pain. These muscles are most likely chronically lengthened and tightened, and they're stretched out to their limits. That is why you're starting to feel them, right? Because they're on the brink of ripping, right? Which is why you feel it. Versus the other muscles, which is actually creating all that tension in the first place. And that is the muscles you're using every day, and that's most likely located in the front of the body. So when you think about this pain, when you think about how you get it, think about that crooked 10 again. When one side gets so tightened, so knotted up, the other side, the other rope is stretched out to its limit. And if you leave that tent there, which side is going to pop out first from the ground? It's the side that's stretched out. That's the side that's going to rip, essentially. And that's the side you're feeling when it comes to your pain. But again, it's not the reason for your pain, it's the cause of it, the effect. Now, let's also talk about what happens to those joints when you have one muscle or a couple muscles that are being overused. That joint now has more wear and tear on one side versus the other. If I am pulling constantly to an internal rotation, That means the joint is constantly internally rotating and probably creating some sort of flexion because I got to bring the arm up, right? This is how we get shoulder impingement with the supraspinatus. But regardless of that point, when we have too much movement in one direction, the joint takes more wear and tear on that side versus the other. And therefore, we end up getting something like arthritis on one side of our joints a lot earlier, or just some kind of degenerative disc disease, right? So all these little daily movements that we're doing are constantly adding up to us eventually feeling these tight muscles, getting some kind of shoulder impingement, or getting some kind of early arthritis in our shoulder, just something like that, especially on one side versus the other. But then what happens to the muscles? What happens to the body when all this kind of kicks in? Well, obviously you start to feel pain, but you also lose your mobility. And when that happens, we also end up having other issues that come into play, like something like frozen shoulder. Frozen shoulder is essentially when the muscles are not sliding on top of the fascia within the shoulder and everything's kind of just really, really stuck in this position. Well, what position is it stuck in 9 times out of 10? Internal rotation. And the reason why is because we're stuck in this position every day. Now remember, everything connects, right? We're going back up through the body. And now, whenever we have something like tightness in the posture muscles, whether it leads to frozen shoulder or not, this is going to make other muscles kick in and contribute and either get tighter or get weaker. And that is also how we lead into something like thoracic outlet syndrome. When you have some kind of tightness in the shoulder, especially with that internal rotation, it's not just the subscap that does this. It's also muscles like the pec major, your lat, your delt, obviously. But with that internal rotation usually comes other movements like flexion and protraction of the scapula. So when we add all the other muscles up that do this, that create all these three different movements, we can start to see how all the muscles in the front of the body, like the neck, the chest, the shoulders, the arms, all these are becoming chronically shorn and tight every single day, resulting in them having a similar situation to the shoulder. This is how we get things like thoracic outlet syndrome, because all that protraction, forward head flexion, because we're on our phones and looking at our computers, this makes all these muscles in the neck and the chest and the shoulders contract every single day. And this is where your nerves and blood vessels run through, which means they are going to be getting compressed when you're constantly doing this. Is it a guarantee? No, it's not. But the more you do it, the higher likely it is. So what can you actually do to fix this? Well, the answer is simple. Movement is king. If you are able to move in the different directions that you're already moving in and start moving in those a lot more, this is pretty much going to start counteracting all these effects that are already happening to you. And I don't just mean going the opposite way. I mean going in every direction the body will allow you to. This is where we do things like spiral movements, rotational movements. We do lateral movement and not just a flexion and extension, which is the most common one for us to do. So for example, if you're constantly doing something like this, start by going out, external rotation, opening up, trying to reverse that movement, go the other way. But then you have to think about the different movements as well, because now we're just going to repeat that pattern going the other way. We have to think about lateral movements, bending to the side. We have to think about rotations with this as well in order to get the entire body and the entire chain incorporated. Because remember, we have those fascia lines that help everything move. And when you connect that with all the little muscles in between, then everything starts to work together nicely and your posture and your pain get much better. Now, this is great and all right, but I'm sure a lot of you have already tried to do different exercises to improve your pain and do that. You've already tried different movements and you probably couldn't do it because it's just too painful. Well, if that's the case, try some self-massage techniques. This is probably the fastest way for you to feel relief. And I mean like relief right now, because what we're doing here is we're essentially forcing those muscles to start sliding on top of each other by performing massage techniques on those muscles themselves. So when you think about doing these techniques, right, we're trying to target the muscles that are short and tight, which is most likely the ones in the front of the body. And we're trying to target it though by doing slow, sustained pressure. You see, the problem here is that most people are going to assume that we're doing some sort of massage techniques, that we're just going to rub it out for a few seconds and the pain goes away. But the way you do this, the way you got to help these tissues slide, is by actually holding sustained pressure on there for about 1 to 2 minutes. And I mean like a legit hold it there for a minute, not a little bit of pressure, and I don't mean too much pressure, but you got to find that Goldilocks middle zone where you can hold enough pressure to create some kind of change, but you're not pressing too hard so the muscle is contracting and fighting back. And after massaging out all these different muscles, right, for 1 to 2 minutes each, you will begin to feel a lot looser immediately. And this opens up the tissues, which then allows you to work out the muscles like the back muscle and all that, to now keep those tissues in that open position. You see, the key here is to release the tight tissues first in order to get rid of the pain and get rid of that tension. But then you retrain these muscles in this new position to strengthen those weaker muscles, stabilize this new position, keep that new position, and hopefully keep your pain away for a lot longer. It's release first and then strengthen. Doing one without the other, it will either get you slow results or it's going to get you some fast results, but the pain's going to come back. Now, if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, then make sure to join my brand new membership where we do monthly deep dives, weekly coaching calls, and so much more so that we can apply these different techniques to our lives without it taking over. If you want to join that membership, make sure to click on the link in the description below. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.